We are here at SACD 2024 with Marantz, with Phil Jones. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Welcome back, Phil, to the channel. It's been some time since you've been with Audioholics, and we love having you back on here talking new Massimo products, particularly Marantz.
What's up, Gene? I'm missing you. You should be in Denver with us here, because the last time you were going to come, you had COVID. Then there was a hurricane. When was the last time you had a chance to come to SACD? I think you were here last year, though.
Last year I did, yeah, but I did miss 2 prior to that. So yeah, it's been rough. But you know what? We're here virtually. We did a preview article on this new Model 10 integrated amplifier, which really caught my eye. I have a special place in my heart for Marantz. I grew up with Marantz. It's always, to me, been a very audiophile-centric brand. And when I saw the Model 10 come out and I saw the pictures of it, I'm like, let's dive deep into this. So we did put a preview article up on Audioholics. I'll put a link down below. You guys have done some different stuff for Marantz, because Marantz is traditionally an audiophile, kind of old school kind of company, but you're putting a lot of new school tech, not only into a preamp, but into your actual integrated amp. So let's talk a little bit about, let's start with the Model 10 first.
Okay, so let's talk about first the whole premise of this 10 series.
Okay.
The Model 10 it was time to replace the SACD 10 and the PM10, our flagship pieces for Marantz over the last few years. But this time, the leadership at Marantz gave the Marantz engineers free range to build whatever they wanted. And it was like, build the amplifier that you want to make, and then we'll worry about all of the things. So if you tell an engineer, Gene, that they can do whatever they want, the quality of the components, all those things that normally they give, that they have a price limitation to, and they can not only, because remember, we engineer and we manufacture there. So that's because, so giving the engineers that type of flexibility, you end up with products like this. So this is what Marantz believes is the best sounding Marantz product they've pretty much ever made. And the heart of the system is the Model 10, the integrated amplifier. You know, Marantz really loves, that's kind of like our thing, is making state-of-the-art, class-leading integrated amplifiers. And that is what the Model 10 is. So it is a Class D amplifier, 250 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 500 watts into 4 ohms. I will tell you that it is absolutely effortless. This is actually my demo set that I actually had to ship to the show. We're at SACD right now. And I have been using this to drive a pair of 801 signatures. And people come into our hi-fi room and they think the subwoofers are on. The amount of control and current that this product can deliver is absolutely spectacular. Every little detail when it comes to the construction, the chassis, it's a completely new from scratch design. And the goal was to use all of the knowledge that Marantz has developed over the last, 70, 50, whatever years to develop the best product ever. And that's what this piece is. You'll love it when you get a chance to test it.
Well, I want to give you guys a quick rundown, because we did a preview article on it and you can see an up close picture of this product. It is really, it's exceptional what you put in here. So you are using a company called Purifi. We've measured their amplifier modules in the past. Bruno Putzis is the designer's brilliant guy. Some of the lowest noise and distortion amplifiers I've ever seen. I had to change my test fixture to measure them. But you guys, it's that crazy. But you guys did something really innovative here. You didn't just take a reference design from a OEM partner and stick it into a chassis. No. You guys were working with Purifi. This project is not new. This has been going on for multiples of years.
Over 5 years. When I first got here, one of the very first pieces I saw from Marantz was a concept of this product. So even when you talk about the Purifi, and you mentioned the benefits of that Class D circuitry, that this is not an off-the-shelf Purifi module at all. What we did was we basically licensed the typography the design, and then we built that piece. So each module is manufactured. We went to the sound master. Ogata-san got to develop his own Purifi version, and it is manufactured in Shirakawa, Japan, in our facility. Basically, think about this product basically comes in as a bunch of itty bitty circuits and a chunk of aluminum, and it walks out of the factory like that. So the amount of care and hands-on that goes into this. So if Purifi has a reputation, imagine taking it up. So I'd always joke and say it would be like you going out and picking the best Wagyu beef cow. But then what you do is you crossbreed it and nurture it and feed it and grass feed it to make it the best version of that cow you possibly can. So first you find the best starting point and then take that to another level.
Well, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, because you talked about the control for how it drives those Bowers & Wilkins flagship speakers. And those are pretty power hungry speakers. They're 4 ohm speakers. Part of it is, in my experience with Marantz amplifiers, you guys have always conservatively rated power on your amps. Now, if you look closely, because I'm a devil's in the detail, you look at the specs on how the Model 10 is rated: 250 watts at 8 ohms at 0.05, 500 at 4 ohms at 0.05. That's really what I consider, because Class D has such low distortion. Those are the clipping points. So you're very conservative in those clipping points, because those clipping points are pretty inaudible in terms of amplifier. So those things will put out probably a lot more power than 250, 500. If you accept the norms for distortion levels, 0.1% or 1%, that kind of thing, right?
Exactly. It's surprisingly powerful. And I think when you put it, we know you're going to put it on a test bench. And I think you're going to be incredibly surprised at its overall performance. Because like I said, normally you have to go, well, I could do this or I could do that. And this time they did both. So if you look at the structure, it's like this multi-layered structure where the Purifi amplifiers and their power supplies are on the bottom floor, right? Then you have a second floor that kind of holds your analog stages, and then you have another floor that holds like your digital stages, right?
Yeah.
Even that big, beautiful Toronto power supply you see in there is just for the analog stage to ensure that you have great analog. So like your phono preamp, your headphone amp, and things like that, fully balanced. It's not just XLRs, balanced from all the way through. And all of these products are like that. So if you want a fully balanced circuit, you want the best digital circuit you've ever seen. It's the best analog stage you've ever made. It's got our best headphone amplifier. It's got one of the best phono stages we've had, which you have your moving coil and your moving magnet, and you can adjust, the turntable impedances. It's at another level when it comes to an integrated amplifier.
Well, the other thing too, again, it's not off the shelf, because you guys designed the SMPS power supplies to power the Purifi bass amplifier, and you have one SMPS per channel, so it's a dual. It's basically a monolithic or mono.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically two mono blocks inside of a single chassis.
Yeah. And like you said, fully balanced from input to output. Usually Class D has single-ended outputs, but you guys actually have bridge-tied load amplifiers on this.
Exactly. So everything, it was just, if you tell an engineer, make the best piece, they're going to, and they have permission to make the best piece, this is the kind of thing you end up with. Oh, by the way, the unit weighs like over 70 pounds.
So I give you guys credit for making the heaviest Class D amplifier on the market, because there's 3 advantages to Class D. There's efficiency, lightweight, low distortion. You guys got rid of the lightweight. It's heavier than your linear versions of these amps from the past.
Let's talk about it. I mean, you got to remember that you also the digital side of it is pretty light, but but the analog stage has a Toronto power supply in it. So a lot of this stuff. So a lot of times the power supply that just runs the analog stage is probably bigger than most of the Torontos that are used in most amplifiers. So the chassis that would, if you look at that, it has that design language that you see on Marantz, and the latest. But this is kind of the how would I explain this? The purest expression of the new Marantz modern look, right?
Yeah.
That little the faceplate on that is a solid machine piece of aluminum. The chassis, the chassis is is a solid piece. I heard that they can only make 6 of the faceplates a day. That one of the parts of the faceplates a day to build these things because of the machine work that goes into it. If you look inside, you won't see hardly any. I mean, it's like there's not a single wire on the inside that's even visible. Look at it. You know how tidy everything is. If they can use bus bars or other ways instead of using wires, because that's a more efficient way, you will. Everything in there is copper. That, every layer, most of the frame, with the exception of the case outside, everything is copper plated to get the shielding to minimize the amount of noise. Is it?
Now, I have to ask you. I have to ask you this question because you see the picture that's up on my screen right now. Is the light inside where the transformer is that just an effect, or does this?
No. A little later, I have. We'll pick the camera and we'll walk over there, and it's lit up. It's illuminated. Now you have the option of turning that on and off, but it is inside of the chassis is illuminated. So you have that halo around the bezel, and then the chassis illuminates, so it just kind of glows. And then the screen on the top is kind of this wavy, beautifully designed kind of heat sink. It's a work of art, Gene. It's something.
It's audio porn.
Yeah, it's audio porn. I like that, but that's exactly what it is. Now this whole idea of this type of quality even goes into the CD player. The CD player weighs 70 pounds. To put that in perspective,
SACD player, right? SACD,
SACD player, and it also has, your asynchronous USB. If you just want to play discs and digital files, you're off of a laptop, you're good to go. That CD player or disc player weighs about the same as 2 Cinema 30s. So let me explain that. The CD player weighs about the same as 2 Cinema 30s. The CD player has dual toroidal power supplies, one for the left side, one for the right side. Everything about it is built to another standard because they were given permission to do so. So it's a beautiful combination. So most people may just get the integrated and that unit, and maybe a turntable, and they're good to go. And maybe, files off of a laptop or something like that. But we have another piece that we're showing today, and we're going to pan our camera over to it.
Well, before you do that, one point I want to bring up.
Okay.
If you're just sticking with the Model 10 and the SACD player, the Model 10 does not have any digital inputs. It's a purely analog.
Pure analog.
So if you're going to go this route, you could run all your digital through the SACD player. Can you stream to the SACD player? Does it support HEOS?
No, it is just a disc player, and it has an asynchronous USB input in it. That's it.
So we need a product. We need a product in this line that could do all of that functionality of digital streaming.
So now what they said is I guess we'd say it this way. We have noticed that even at this show, we have very few disc players. So we have noticed that many people are going to either hard drive based content or high res streaming content. It used to be when it came to streaming content, you had to sacrifice performance for convenience. These days, with things like Tidal high res, Spotify high res, Apple Music in high res, Amazon Music in high res, 124, 192, 24, a lot of people are getting 90% of their music from streaming, or they have digital files from download. So a lot of times I have discs, but I rarely use them because most of those discs I can get instead of a CD as a 192 file for streaming. So a lot of times we've noticed that people are a lot of times either streamers or disc players, and if I'm a disc player and I just want to play a few streaming files, they're more than comfortable plugging their laptop in and going directly that way via asynchronous USB. So I could see having another piece, but then you got to remember that they have to worry about shielding the heels, the drive, the disk drive. We didn't buy that off the shelf. That's custom made by us, right? No. So just trying to get all of those things in one box would be difficult. We always say one of the reasons why you buy separates is when you try to shove more things in a box, you got digital noise problems, you got placement problems. You're going to have to compromise. In order to do what we needed to do and be non-compromised, we had to take the disk drive out from the networking stuff to make it not weigh 200 pounds and be about the size of a small refrigerator.
Okay. So what's the third box that you have in this
Okay,
line?
so I mentioned that like I have this, and it's been rare that I use them. When I've been doing demos on this unit, I've been using my laptop that much more. But I'm also a Heels guy, and I think Heels quality is very good. And a lot of times when you have digital files, you got the beautiful cover art and all that stuff, and I want to be able to see that stuff off of my network. So we made another piece, and this piece here is called the Link 10. So this is our network-based solution. Now, this is kind of an interesting hybrid. It's a network player. It's a very good preamp, and it has all your DACs and everything else. So this piece it's kind of a hybrid. So if you're looking for a great preamp, you can use this as a preamp, balance inputs, balance outputs, fully balanced, outstanding phono preamp, all the things you would expect in a preamp. If you just said, I just need a good preamp, what should I get? That's where this piece comes in. If you go, hey, I need a preamp and most of my stuff is streaming or digital, that's the piece for you, right? That piece also weighs 70 pounds, dual toroidal power supplies for the left and right. Everything about it is built to another standard, just like the other pieces here.
Okay, so if I get the preamp, the Link 1 that you're talking about, where's the 2-channel amplifier that I can mate it with?
So what you can do with the amplifier is you can, like with most Marantz pieces, you can opt to just switch off the preamp stage in the Model 10 and just turn it into an amplifier. What you can also utilizing, what is that called? FB, what's the fancy, you guys can tell me what it is. It's like FCBS. I got my guys out here.
Gotcha.
You can link these together. So you can use the Link 10 with 2 Model 10s, or the Link 10 with 4 Model 10s. So, and they will all communicate together. And the disc player becomes the boss of all, and those become the employee, basically. So you end up with this. So there's an expandability here. So it's cool. You can just literally buy 2 Model 10s, and you can link them together using this circuit, and then one becomes the controller for the other one. So one becomes the left channel, one becomes the right channel, and when I turn it up, they both turn up and down at the same time. Or I can make the Link 10 the boss of 2 or 4 of these Model 10s if I want to expand the system. We were actually going to do the Nautilus with the Link 10 and 4 Model 10s at the show, but
you're talking about basically biamping or triamping, because you can't bridge them to get more power.
Triamp. So think of it this way. If I have, most people don't need 4 Model 10s, but if you have a pair of Nautiluses, you need 8 channels of amplification. And there are some crazy speakers out there that will allow you to do that. You have that capability. Many people will maybe do, most speakers that are high end are biampable. So you use one for biamp as a biamp for the left side, and one as a biamp for the right side.
Yeah. So the Link 10, it has all your digital inputs? Does it have HDMI, or is it just Toslink and coax?
I don't believe it has I can't remember if it has HDMI. Somebody run back there and look.
That's how new this is. He doesn't even know yet.
That's how new it is. Literally, Gene, what happened was the unit showed up at the office. From Japan, we put a sticker on it and stuck it on and FedEx it over here. But it does have, your asynchronous, your opticals, your digitals, your balance inputs, your analog inputs. But the one thing you just stumped me, I do not remember if it has I could turn this. I can turn it around if you'd like.
Come on, you're a big guy. You could pick up a 75.
Oh, it does. It does.
It has HDMI ARC.
Why don't we? Because I have my boy back here zooming. Why don't I turn this guy around? All right.
Do it.
So you can actually see the back of it. All right. So I'm gonna have to unplug it. Actually, before I turn it around, zoom in on it.
Yeah.
So,
I want to see it. So you see album art there? Is there album art that goes?
You can do album art. The menu system. What we've learned, even with some of our devices, is some people want a ton of control, but some people just want simplicity. So by doing this type of display, if it's someone in your family that just wants to turn the input button and turn up the volume, they're good. But if they really want to get in here and make adjustments to things such as preamp stage and the and how it responds to your. I should know it has eARC because there's a TV option on this thing to determine if CEC controls the receiver. So you have all the capabilities here, and if you have, and this is like a cell phone level, like iPhone level screen. So the cover art is high res. So when you're playing something off of HEOS or off of a digital file, you can get cover art just like you would do on your screen on your AVR. So I'm going to unplug it, and I'm going to
one question I have
for you.
Turn this thing around. One quick question. I want to see if I could stump you. You know how everything lights up white in the front with the faceplate?
Yes.
On the Amp 10 and the AV10, I could change those to blue. Can you change these to blue too?
I believe you get one color, and that's the amber. That's the amber. But you'll see that when it's lit. I wish we can turn off the lights and let you see it. It works really well together. Now you can adjust the color temperature, the intensity, but I believe there's one color.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn each one of them around so you can see the backs. I know you.
Phil's getting his workout now.
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna spin it. I'm glad.
Yeah. Man, that is a beast.
Yeah. So you can see here, you got your balanced line out, right? Your unbalanced line out. You have a spectacular your regular phono inputs. You got your digital inputs here for your coax, balanced inputs. So if you want to use, most people only have one balanced source, right? You got several. Actually, you have one. Actually, line out. Oh, this is interesting. Line out, pre-out. So you actually, that's interesting. I didn't even know it had a line out, pre-out. So why would you have I have to find out why you need a line out and a pre-out at the same time. Do you remember?
Is it to hook up maybe subs, or you don't have subwoofer outputs?
Subwoofers. So you have a bunch of different things. You got your HDMI eARC, basically any connection you would ever want and you would ever need. It has the antennas. We just don't have them on there right now, but it has the antennas. But hopefully most people want an internet wire to this thing. If you're going to spend this kind of money, buy a switch, and a good HDMI cable. All right.
Now there's no base management on this, right? You have to do the base management.
No base management. Is that something you would like, Gene? You think your guys would want that kind of thing?
I mean, it's always useful if you could put room correction and base management or PEQ. If you go to have some digital tone control capability, would always be a good idea. But I know purists don't like that. But you know what? It's the future. I mean, exactly. If you want to be able to
ask you that, and I'd love to have your people on the video respond.
Yeah, give comments
because
below.
We always get this thing about digital room compensation on a high-end hi-fi piece. The home theater people are all in. They realize the benefit. But a lot of times when it comes to hi-fi, they're purists and they don't want any of those things in between. So
I think that's old-fashioned.
I can talk to engineers.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Would it actually be something that they would respond to?
It's old-fashioned thinking, Phil, because as good as the electronics are, you still have to deal with acoustical problems in your room.
Exactly.
So if you could do it in the digital domain, not in analog, if you do it all in the digital domain, the signal processing will be, it'll maintain integrity. So at least offer the ability to adjust PEQ filters at base frequencies. And if you want to add direct to it, I mean, some people will be into direct, some people won't. So it's just a good option to have.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Now, actually, let me turn around. Oh, but I think too, that's kind of neat, Gene. So you know that it has the porthole, right? So that porthole can be things such as the volume up and down. But it can also be level meters. So I can actually set that to level meters, or I can use it as so I can see all my different inputs here.
Sweet.
Okay.
Now I will have to tell you this. I'm going to ding you on one thing. Why did you put level meters instead of VU meters? People want to see VU meters. They want to see the power.
I don't know. I just think that people like seeing that's probably something that could be maybe added in the future.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, you can monitor the power. Maybe even have a temperature monitor. I mean, you have all that ability in DSP to do that kind of stuff.
But to be honest with you, a lot of times it's just for the mesmerizing look and feel of the moving. And it is beautiful. It's mesmerizing, by the way. And they're really fluid, like they're an actual meter. All right. Now, if I take this guy, and you were talking, I should just leave it plugged in. if I could turn off the lights, oh, it's too heavy to do that.
Yeah,
Normally I would just turn it, but can somebody come over here and give me a hand with this, because it is too heavy to now it is illuminated in there. It's hard to really see, but it is illuminated in there. So when you have the when you're playing it, if it was a darkened room, you get this beautiful glow out of it.
I love that.
As you play
love that idea.
Now, if I take it, turn this guy around, make sure I don't scratch, because they will kill me. So 1, 2, 3. So you have your balanced inputs that we talked about. Your preamp out. So if you want to do the connect one to the other, that you have to connect them. So the pre-out is if you want to do that FBCS, and you want to use one as the master, like one as, we used to say master and slave, but I guess it's boss and employee now. I think that's probably more PC, right? Right. So as you can see, no digital. It is a purely analog device here.
Yeah.
But I think when people see these, look at the fit and finish. If you come up here, it's all copper. Every screw is copper. Every board on each floor is copper. Bus boards. It's funny. I'm a hot rod guy, Gene. Yeah. And like you go to a nice hot rod and you look at a really, really good hot rod, and they open the hood and you can't see a single wire. And the motors are just this beautiful thing, 1,000 horsepower. It's a work of art and you can't see a wire. When you look in here, when it's powered up, you don't see a single wire. The amount of just the wire management that went into this. Now, the Japanese always say the pursuit of perfection, or those little small details end up with better performance. That's the best way. If you're that meticulous on every little detail, you're going to be rewarded not only with a beautiful piece, but with better performance, whether it's a knife, whether it's a car, or whether it's a hi-fi piece. So this insane attention to detail.
It's just craftsmanship to the next level.
Exactly. And that extra craftsmanship means less buzz, less rattle, better performance, better wire management means less issues. And, it's just the end result of that type of care is always better performance. Always. If you look at a car, a watch, anything that is of a premium, that extreme level of detail always comes out being a more a better performing thing. Maybe I know you guys would probably want to get super geeky one day, and I'm more than happy to grab one of the Marantz engineers one day, and you can play stump the engineer about all the super technical stuff on here. But we can't spend too late. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now.
Yeah, no, look,
11.
All I could say about is when you get to this level of detail and design, whether it's aesthetically or just to the level of engineering and just the craftsmanship, it doesn't come cheap. And I know there's going to be people that are going to be balking at the price, but like in any field of interest, whether it's boating, audio, cars, to get something crafted to this level costs money.
Exactly. So I always say, there's a thing, I always talk about the diminishing returns, right? We can use a car for that. If I go from a inexpensive, beat up, back in the days Hyundai to a Honda, there was like a, $10,000 jump. But the difference in quality back in the days were big, right?
Yeah.
So you go wham. Then you would go from a Honda to maybe an Acura. Now that would be $20,000. It was still a big jump, but the price to get that jump was much higher, right? Yeah. Then you go from a Hyundai to a Mercedes. There's a difference. an Acura to a Mercedes. There's a difference, but that difference costs you 40, 50K. Yeah. Wham, right? Then you go from a Mercedes to a Rolls Royce. There is a difference in every aspect of that car. The paint, the body, the craftsmanship, the carpeting, everything is better, but it's a $300,000 difference, right?
Yeah.
So as you start getting towards that bleeding edge, and you're that obsessed with every detail, every little increment, every little incremental improvement costs a tremendous amount of money. So yes, it is expensive, but if you're looking for the very best, and you will not settle for anything but the very best, that's what it costs, you know. And
So
you just
give
have
us
to
a rundown. Give us a rundown, the names and the name, model numbers, and prices, real quick, just
okay.
so we can.
So starting on this side is the the SACD 10, and the disc player is about 12K. All right.
Yep.
Moving to the Model 10, the Model 10 is 15K, and then we move over to the Link 10, and the Link 10 is 12K. So if you look at the entire stack, you're looking at about 39,000 bucks. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot for a rack like this. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and he was interested in buying something to drive a pair of Bowers and Wilkins signatures. Those are $55,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, if you really want, a lot of times to power the speakers, you're probably going to invest at least 70. If you really want to get all the pro performance out of your gear, at least 70% of what you paid, right? Most of the time. If you look at a optimized system for a pair of Nautiluses with retail for 100K, the best solution is 8 Delta Monos. That's $80,000. So if you look at the person that would be pairing who would pair this system, this is an 801 customer, an 801 signature customer, for these, and a Link 10, that's a Nautilus customer. And for that customer, this is actually a great deal to cover for the performance they're getting to play those speakers at the investment that they paid.
Now, are there any plans to just do a dedicated amp not an integrated, but just the dedicated amp that will go with that preamp?
I can't really comment on what's going to happen in the future. Marantz has always, they're really digging. They really like the integrated, and it would just be a decision about the demand, and they would have to just evaluate the market. But we will tell you that a lot of people, the ability to switch it off and turn it into just an amplifier and bypass the preamp stage is nice, because you have the flexibility of starting off when it integrated and then turning it into an amplifier.
Sure, you can upgrade the system down the road, basically.
Yeah. Even if you look at the new M4, I was just talking to some of the guys, and I think it's you hold down the power button for 3 seconds, and to switch an M4 into. I got my guy hiding in the shed. My product guy hiding. Okay, so you hold the button on an M4, and then you power it on, and then you hold the button, and that turns into just an amplifier. So you could take even an M4 that has 4 Helios modules in it, and 8 channels of 100 watts per channel, and by holding it, switch it into just an amplifier. So realize that sometimes people want an amplifier, but you got to remember economies of scale. Building an amplifier and an integrated, the cost of both are going to go up because I can't leverage the price together.
Yeah,
so that's probably why they made this decision.
Okay? Gotcha. Well, Phil, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy CEDIA and actually doing it after hours for us, when you should be probably sleeping or at least having a couple of drinks.
So hopefully,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully I'll see you here next time and we can have a couple of cocktails together.
For sure, my friend, we will. I'm looking forward to actually getting one of these on my test bench. So I'm volunteering you to send me your samples or get them out to me at your earliest convenience. That way we could do another follow-up video on that.
Excellent. So hopefully we're going to do some more content on these products. So as I do that, we'll make sure that I share those links with you. And once you get your samples and we win the best receiver you've integrated you've ever heard in your entire life, we can do another one of these. All
right. Well, I appreciate it, Phil. Guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumb up, hit subscribe. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. Appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics. And until next time, my friends, keep listening.
See you later.